It's a beautiful day for the Friday football feast. And who would you rather be behind the mic in control than the head cheese? I'm Dave Sinykin in for PA today. I drew the stick, and I'm in on a Friday. Very happy to be here and excited to hang out with Brett Blakemore for the next 3 hours. And I do have a bunch of football. It's Friday, so I kind of feel like I'm obligated to go with the bit. I'm a little bummed that we're not at some Buffalo Wild Wings today, but I'll make the best of it. Maybe someone will bring wings to us. Is that possible?
What about cheese curds?
Well, that would be. That's the dream. That's the dream.
Yeah.
Some
brats.
Culver's managers listening and like, yes, we'll take care of the cheese heads today and make them happy because Lord knows I need more cheese curds in my diet. There's no question about that. Hope all is well, everybody. This is going to be fun. I do have a bunch of football stuff I want to chat about because I think after this weekend, it'll officially be the abyss, right? Because both NBA and NHL look like sweeps are potentially inevitable. Either way, it's unlikely by Monday that either sport will still be going. So we'll get a little head start on the abyss today with a bunch of NFL talk. And if we run out of stuff, Corey left his notes from Power Trip. First of all, he keeps score like old-fashioned way, like you were playing Scrabble. You just...
Well, he's in Vegas, so it might have been Halvey.
It was Halvey. Halvey left it. So now I was thinking I was going to put it up on eBay, but what's the value of Halvey's hosting and not Corey? I'm thinking that's Corey.
Well, it's Corey's Clues
hosted
by Halvey.
But it's Halvey's handwriting.
Oh.
And he kind of dissed Max. He didn't give Max his point. He must have stopped. He must have stopped after, the 11th clue. Decided not to finish it up. I've got 13 pages of stupid news that they printed out. So if we end up running out of topics, I can pour through this and have some fun and make it like a Power Trip bit from 9 to noon. How are you?
I'm great.
I usually see you on Saturday mornings. This is the first of a trifecta for us.
Yeah.
We're going to, if we're not already, we're going to get awfully sick of each other by Sunday.
Oh, I don't know about that.
We've got In the Zone tomorrow morning, 8 to 10. And I'm in for Bump on Sunday for Sunday sermons. So we're going to get to know each other even better than we have over the last... How long has it been? How long have you been here?
I'm coming up on 5 years at the Fan.
Unbelievable. That's impressive. That really is. I'll thank you in advance for getting Peacock up in studio. Mm-hmm. So the U.S. Open is front and center. That's, again, don't get me started. You have to have Peacock to watch the U.S. Open this morning. But that's the way of the world. We'll keep you updated on what's happening. The leaders are afternoon players, but Rory McIlroy's through 8. He's still 3 under. Well, I guess he is 3 under. He's dropped a couple strokes. He's 3 under through 8 and just missed a birdie putt on 9. So we'll keep you up to date on the U.S. Open. We do have one guest locked and loaded today. Our good friend, Lavelle E. Neal III, joins at 10 o'clock to talk Bears, to talk some Twins, and just to catch up in general on this Father's Day weekend. My dad always said Sunday, Father's Day, is the most important day of the year. I've taken that to heart. I tell my kids that every single year, that is the most important day of the year. Let's start with the news of the day. Twins win again, 6-2 over the A's last night. The big three, Correa, Lewis, and Buxton, combined for 8 hits, 5 ribbies, 4 runs. And Correa's on fire. Correa now has, 14 hits over the last 3 games? Something like that?
He's playing well.
That's unbelievable. That's almost hard to do. Maybe I got the number wrong. It's close to that, though. Joe Ryan, another stellar outing. I watched the game start to finish last night. That's how committed to this bit that I am. If I was hosting 9 to noon, would I watch Twins front to back? No. But I'm also kind of humble bragging because I've got DirecTV, so I'm one of the few fortunate ones that got to watch the Twins last night. I do not take that for granted, and I clearly don't when my bill comes every month because I shake my head and go, why am I buying DirecTV again? Seriously? Plus all the streaming services? But nice win for the Twins, and a very good outing again from Ryan, who is making a strong case for the All-Star game next month. Your Panthers are up 3-0. The next time Connor McDavid scores a goal will be his first in this finals. What have you made from what you've seen through 3 games in the NHL finals?
Florida just has the more complete team. They're much more of a hockey team than Edmonton has more star power. Florida's the better team. And I think I said on In the Zone last week with you, I think I said Panthers in 6.
Sounds right.
We're looking at probably Panthers in 4, and at most 5. Yeah, they're a better team. They're more complete, and they can shut it down. They needed one little flurry in the second period, and they locked it down, and that was it.
So. Well, they got to 4. It was 4-1. They cut it to 4-3. Made them got the fans a little excited, and then that was it. Did I call you Blake Bretmore when the show started, by chance?
I don't. If you did, it just rolls off.
Somebody hit me up on the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line, and
they probably did.
Said Blake Bretmore, question mark? It's easy to do. I think I've thought it before. If not, it's not a bad name change if you want to think about it. Just a little different.
I don't have to change it because people call me that anyways. So
if you don't want to be named after Brett Favre anymore, we can all understand why. Blake Bretmore is not a bad way to go, although your dad may not be thrilled with that.
Yeah, it continues to get worse by the day. Be named after Brett Favre.
Pretty much does.
Yeah.
The NBA season very well may end tonight. Celtics have brooms in play in Dallas. I don't know if the Mavs have anything left. I did not see this coming. I didn't. And maybe it was look how they wiped the floor with the Wolves. They're just unfair. A team of destiny, these Mavericks. Yeah, so that didn't work out so well for them. We'll see what Luka does to come back from a very embarrassing Game 3 performance as their season hangs on the brink. Tonight, the Celtics go for the 4-0 sweep, and we'll put a wrap on the NBA season, if not tonight. You would think by Sunday. And then it's off-season time. I want to talk a little Wolves today, even though it is kind of a manufactured Friday football feast. Football is going to be the name of the day, but I came up with some draft targets for the Wolves that I want to throw out there. We are a couple weeks, just under a couple weeks from the draft, and this is one of those years where the Wolves have a pick, actually have 2 picks, and they need to make the most of them with their perilous salary cap situation. So I want to get into that as well throughout the day today. But lots of NFL, and we certainly welcome your input throughout the program as well, as we're here 9 until noon, and the rest of the guys are here today. Common at noon. Barrero at 3, as far as we know. It's just PA off today.
To my knowledge,
is that correct? Mm-hmm. Very good. The football stuff, what I'm thinking is I want to this is the dead period, right? We got a month now until the season starts. So I want to look at just a bunch of talkers leading into training camp around the league, not just local, but around the league. I got some interesting things I want to chat about. I noticed that the receiver show is finally announced starting July 10th with J.J., Devontae Adams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle. And it got me thinking, so what do they do next year? Like, what's the natural evolution from quarterback to receiver? What would you like to see next? We'll throw that out there on the Bradshaw and Bryan KFAN text line. I have my own thoughts on what I think is the obvious one. I want to see if I'm barking up my own tree or if I get some of you that might agree with me, because I feel like there is an obvious pivot for season 3. I'm excited for season 2. I mean, I was a big quarterback fan. Did you watch?
I loved it.
Mr. Bretmore?
Yeah, the Mariota thing kind of fell flat when he got essentially cut. But other than that, it was really good.
It was a weird choice anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I got what they were trying to do, like 3 different stages of quarterback, trying to make it the mid guy and then Kirk Cousins lovers, and then the superstar with Pat. So, yeah. I get what they were going for. I liked it, though. It was a good watch.
Yeah, I mean, Mariota just didn't have much of a personality either. Like, he was the third wheel.
Yeah.
I understand. You are correct. That is what they were going with, the guy fighting to be the starter. Who was a top draft pick and is trying to resurrect his career. And that's the thing with these things. You can't deal. Injuries happen, just like Mr. Jefferson, who got hurt and missed about half the season last year while they were filming him. So we're going to get a lot of rehab and frustration. Obviously, the Kirk injury is going to fall within there as well. But I think they do a great job with it. I think it's very well done. I can't wait for the NBA version, which Ant is a part of. I don't know when that's coming out, but I would think leading into the season, maybe September, something like that. And I forget maybe look that up, the other NBA players that are being featured in a quarterback / receiver style Netflix show. But in light of what Ant did this season and how far the Wolves went, that should be, and we know his personality was tailor-made for a show like this. That should be very fascinating, and I'm sure Wolves fans can't wait for that. But if you have thoughts on what the Peyton Manning Productions, or what are they called, Omaha Productions?
Yeah.
What they should do next season, hit us up, 64686. So that's one way to reach us. You can reach us via the old-fashioned way on the phones, 800-320-5326. You can email us, booth@kfan.com. You can even tweet me at TCHeadCheese. It's a modified version of the Friday football feast. Sinykin in for PA, Brett Blakemore by my side. We're just getting rolling on the Fan.
If you want to chime in what's happening with your favorite KFAN shows, you can make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Just let us know what you say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard text message and data rate supply.
All right, back with you, 9:17 on a Friday morning. It's a Friday football feast with Dave Sinykin in for PA today. One of a cavalcade of hosts filling in this week. And very happy to be here to talk some football on a Friday. I threw out, heading into the break, what should Netflix / Peyton Manning do next? What position group should he focus on? We got a couple tight ends, but I don't think that's going to work. Kittle was featured with the receivers. It's a cousin of receivers. It's too close. The texter 320 guy suggested Kelsey, Kittle, Hawkinson. Well, Hawkinson's not going to play for, the first... Do we know how long till Hawkinson?
I don't know.
I don't think anybody knows, but I think it's expected at least the PUP list, which would be the first 6 games. And you don't want a guy that's, rehabbing and not even going to be out there to start the season. And as I said, Kittle is featured with the receivers, which means they don't have a plan to go to tight end. So that's out. A couple of humorous texts, kicker, punter. Somebody suggested O-line, call it the Hogs. The thing is, you have to think about the personalities. So it's easy to say, yeah, let's just do O-line. But are there, now that Jason Kelsey's retired, are there 5 guys that are well-known enough and have the personality that are going to pull this off? Because that's really, if you're not dealing with quarterbacks, I think you need strong personalities. And I can't come up with, top of my head, an interesting offensive lineman. Outside, like I say, outside of Kelsey. So I don't think that's the way to go. Another offensive line suggestion, as a former college quarterback, this is from 507 guy down south, fans need to see what they go through both physically and mentally. By far the hardest position to play in the game. I agree, but you got to have the guys. Mm-hmm. Someone suggests cornerback, guys like Sauce Gardner, Jalen Ramsey, Pat Surtain. I can listen to that, but no, only one person agrees with me. You know where I'm going here?
I don't.
It's got to be, we can call it edge.
Oh.
It's got to be the edge rushers. Think about, so I came up with 6 guys that to me all have monster-sized personalities that would be perfect. Micah Parsons.
Yep.
Right? Nick Bosa.
Uh-huh.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
I mean, he's...
Yeah.
He's a star for an up-and-coming team, and I think he's got a pretty wild personality. Max Crosby.
Yep.
Myles Garrett, who is into, non-football stuff. He gets criticized for being too eclectic, for having too many interests.
As long as he keeps his helmet on.
That's right.
He's fine.
Doesn't get too angry. And TJ Watt. So,
yeah.
I mean, those are 6 big-time star personality guys. It's time to give the defense some love. So that's where I'm going. And I think you pick 5 of those guys, I'm in. I want to see what Micah Parsons has to say. Eventually, you got to change the whole bit because you're going to run out of interesting positions, right?
Yeah. Or just go back to quarterback. To me, that's the easy solution.
Well, I think that was, my guess is that was the idea, but they couldn't find, I remember reading they were having a hard time getting guys to agree to do it. Because once you've seen, once these guys watch the show and they're like, oh my God, they're in my house. I got to show them reading stories to my kids. They're going to be all with me for a year. I mean, that's a commitment to make. So I guess I can understand, but you could be right. Come a year or two from now, there might be you can just come up with 3 guys, right? Mm-hmm. You just need 3 guys to agree. 612 guy would love the next show to be based on linebackers, which is kind of where I went here. I think they have the personalities to really show. That's from Ice Monkey guy. Kind of like that.
That's a moniker for sure.
Kind of like that moniker. So yeah, that's where I'm going. I think any of those would be any of those guys would be interesting for the next Netflix show. If you have any other ideas, you think I'm nuts, by all means, please reach out. Big news from the NFL yesterday was the next quarterback domino to fall. Trevor Lawrence gets 5 years, $275 million, $55 million a year, and $200 million guaranteed. He's just the 4th quarterback ever to hit that number, the $200 million guarantee mark, which now becomes, I think, kind of a benchmark for the next guys to fall. And watching that deal very closely were representatives of Dak Prescott, Tua, and Jordan Love, who are all in line to also break the bank. The Trevor Lawrence one's kind of, I don't know. I mean, when you got a quarterback like that, you kind of you're sort of roped, and you have to pay him, right? So I don't disagree with Jacksonville having to do it. I just wouldn't feel great about it. But his career got so derailed by Urban Meyer to start out with, and how that kind of set him back. And the thinking is with Doug Peterson, you've got a quarterback coaching you, and I think we've certainly seen improvement, and the talent's there from him, but they haven't really built very well around him offensively. And he has 1 playoff win, which is as many as Jordan Love has, and Tua. I don't think the Dolphins have won a playoff game with Tua yet. So you're paying quarterbacks who have not yet really proven a whole lot in the postseason, that kind of money. So obviously Dak is going to be right there at 55. And I believe Jordan Love's going to be right there at 55. And I'm really curious to hear whether there's outrage. I don't really care about outside the state, but from Packer fans, if Jordan Love gets $55 million a year, because
there shouldn't be.
He is going to get that money. And I don't know if you saw Mike Tannenbaum on Get Up last week, I think it was, where Mike Greenberg asked him, Patrick Mahomes is number 1. Who would you want next? If it's your team, over the next 5 to 10 years, he said Jordan Love second.
Yeah.
Which, most folks in this state, would be rolling off their chair laughing at that. But I found it kind of instructive that a former GM is buying what he saw from the second half of the season and what might be ahead. And I think what, a lot of people will say, well, it's just 8 games, it's half a year. How do you know that it wasn't just kind of a flash? But I think the way the team was built with all the rookie and second-year receivers, that it was going to take time for everybody to kind of figure things out. And so, I'm very curious, as everybody is, what's that next step that Love can take in year 2. GM Brian Gutekunst said he wants a deal done by training camp, which is 5 weeks from now, which is the first time I've heard an actual, not a deadline, but a date in the sand. In a perfect world, we would have this done. So I would think a deal like Trevor Lawrence's would make things easier for that deal. Dolphins with Tua, that's tricky, Would you feel comfortable giving Tua 55 a year with the injury history? They've certainly, unlike what Jacksonville's done for Trevor, they have put world-class receivers around Tua, right? And running backs. I mean, they added my favorite running back in the draft, Jalen Wright, to go with Mostert and Achane, and obviously we know about Hill and Waddle. So Tua is set up, and I guess he's lost 20, 25 pounds. He looks different.
That's bigger shoulders, yeah.
If you watched Hard Knocks, I mean, he was a little beefy, but he's
at times
he's slight. We know he's injury prone. That would be, to me, one that I would kind of feel a little sick about, knowing I had to pay him, but man, that's a lot of money for Tua when you just don't know if he can withstand the rigors of an NFL season. This is where the NFL is now, and you know how it works. In 3 years, $55 million a year is going to look like a deal, right? You're going to have $70 million quarterbacks by then, if not higher, with the salary cap going as it is. But yeah, so for us as Packer fans, getting the Jordan Love deal done, who was at OTAs and was
funny
there.
How that works.
It is funny.
He's still there.
He is. We're going to talk a bit about the previous Packer quarterback in the next segment. But yes, he's doing everything. He's with the team, and he knows that he's about to become a very wealthy young man. But yeah, I would. Is it north of 55? I mean, right now, 55 is number one, right? It's Burrow and Trevor Lawrence at 55. That's what I saw last night on
Goff, number two.
Goff, right, but then Herbert, and I don't know how the actual order goes. Texter 763 guy. We've opened up a...
Here we go.
Yeah. That's ridiculous that you think Love will be that good. Hurts was good for a full year. And last year, he wasn't good at all. Just wait for teams to take advantage of the one-year tape, and he's going to be a bottom 10 quarterback. That's talk about a ridiculous take. I mean, why would you go there? Stop it with just wait for teams to take advantage of the one-year tape. But then you have to throw in, and he's going to be a bottom 10 quarterback, and everything you said is just worthless and ridiculous. Come on, guys. What are we doing here? You see the MVP race, the early numbers for the MVP race in the NFL?
What do they know? Yeah, come on.
Patrick Mahomes is 5-1. Josh Allen is 8-1. Joe Burrow and C.J. Stroud are 10-1. Love, Hurts, and Lamar are 14-1. So I don't know. Vegas puts him in the top 5 to 7. Not the bottom 10. I don't know. That's one of those wishful thinking things like, God, he can't be as good as we saw as the year ended, and certainly in the playoffs where he pitched a perfect game against the Cowboys. That can't be real. That was the exception to the rule.
This is one of my favorites that we get all the time. Another separate 763 guy says, please, Packers, overpay for one half season of good ball. That's my favorite. That's just copium right there.
Yeah, and I've gotten that a lot from fans, and it's, again, just like a year ago when it was like, sure, go ahead, get rid of Rodgers. Enjoy 30 years of terrible quarterback play, like all the rest of us have. Which, again, it's wishful thinking in part, but let's give the kid a chance. I mean, if you talk about Trevor Lawrence, if Lawrence was set up the way Love was, this would never happen. But the first overall pick, he was seen as, the greatest prospect since Andrew Luck. If he had to sit for 3 years and watch Aaron Rodgers and get schooled by Matt LaFleur and Tom Clement, and that's how his career started, and then last year was his first year, for all we know, he would have been the greatest first-year quarterback we've ever seen with that talent. But he wasn't coached up like that, and he was thrown into the fire, and he didn't have talent around him per se. A revolving door of receivers. Well, they've had decent running game, but the line's been suspect. So I think, as most of you know, your situation matters almost as much as your talent. And conversely, if Jordan Love was drafted number 20, first game he's a starter, wherever he is, he may never have developed the way he has developed. So I'll be happy to, quote unquote, see the Packers overpay Jordan Love. He will be a top 5, if not top 3, if not highest paid, just because he's the last deal done. And I can't wait to see what Dallas does. I want to talk about Dallas. Dallas, for me right now, is the team most likely to regress. And this is not a bat signal for Jamar from Brooklyn Park to check in, but they've got issues there. Let's keep talking quarterbacks. Let's keep talking NFL. It's a Friday, and it's 9 to noon. That means this is the Friday Football Feast. Dave Sinykin in for PA. Brett Blakemore by my side. Back with much more after the...
Rev up your engines and race to Treasure Island for Monster Truck Thunder. This action-packed event will be a smashing spectacular with daring stunts. Next level excitement for the whole family. Don't miss the island's first ever Monster Truck Rally, Saturday, June 29th. Tickets are on sale now. Get yours today. KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
All right, back with you, 9:39 on a Friday morning. It's the Friday Football Feast. Dave Sinykin in for PA today. Brett Blakemore by my side as it's summertime. Guys taking some days off, catching up before Football season starts a month or so from now when camps open, but that doesn't scare us. We'll talk football today, and I've opened up a Pandora's box with the quarterback contract discussion. Trevor Lawrence got paid late yesterday, $5 for $275, $55 a year, $200 million guaranteed. Where does Jordan Love fall now? Is he's probably next? Tua could be, Dak could be. Those are the three guys looking to get paid. Texts are flying in to the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. They're mostly from Vikings fans, as you would imagine. They're mostly following a similar tone. Give Love all the money, leave nothing left to build around him, give him $100 million a year. So I guess my question is, would you rather pay your quarterback $55 million a year or pay a wide receiver $35 million a year? Because to me, it's not close. Give me the quarterback. Let me know that I've got a top 12. Right now,
sure.
Jordan Love's a top 12 quarterback in my mind after half a season. And it's not just the half a season, obviously. It's the trajectory. It's how he got better and obviously the playoff performance. You and I were both at the Chiefs game, the Sunday night game.
The best.
Where
I was with the people.
You were with the people. I was with the pretty people in the suites with my brother in his suite. But we saw Jordan Love outduel Patrick Mahomes on a Sunday night. And that was maybe the first official glimpse. Maybe the next glimpse was the way he dissected the Lions in Detroit on Thanksgiving Day. Defense helped a little bit, too, with a couple turnovers. But some of the passes he threw, remember in the traffic, like that touchdown to Reed threw like three guys, like, oh my God, that was a laser. So there were certainly points during the season where, as the season went along, then you come to the playoffs, and again, I mean, the Cowboys game, he pitched a perfect game. It was like statistically as good a performance a quarterback can have. He did it as what were they, like 7, 8, 9-point underdogs in Dallas, something like that?
Yeah.
Might have been 10, I don't remember. And then, of course, San Francisco, yes, he threw the pick at the end, but that team was right there. Packers are great because of LaFleur. Put any second-tier quarterback in Green Bay, Lawrence, Tua, Cousins, Goff, and the team would be great. Love is good, but top 5 QB is a stretch. Yeah, I don't call him a top 5. I'm a Vikings fan, and if Jordan Love was, this is a 2-8 guy. I'm a Vikings fan, and if Jordan Love was our quarterback and he was due a contract, there's no way I would even think of paying him $55 million. Maybe 40, or don't let the door hit you in the rear. I'm a fan of building a whole team. To heck with this quarterback-heavy payroll. Look what Brady did, taking lesser contracts. That's from Scott. All right, well, let's start with Brady. First of all, he didn't take lesser contracts till toward the end of his career. He also had a wife, supermodel, who was making 9 figures a year, which can take a little of the sting out of taking a couple less million as a quarterback. And name another quarterback who's taking less than market value. You can't. And there's no way Jordan Love or any top-flight quarterback looking for a deal is going to ever look at $40 million again. Those numbers are dead. That's not happening. There is an advantage to having a quarterback on a rookie contract. We've seen it, right? It allows you to build around them. But there are other ways to do it if you've got that quarterback you believe in. I think I saw the stat. We know that JJ's making $35 million a year. The Packers have 17 receivers under contract. Combined, they're making $25 million for 17 guys. And if you look at the 6 main guys, the 6 guys likely to make the team, combined, those receivers are making $11 million. So they don't have that number one receiver that's getting all the dough. And I don't know why that's seen as a bad thing. And that's another interesting concept in some stories I've read that, is it a good thing or a bad thing not to have a number one receiver? I think Rodgers in his final years here was so laser focused on Devontae Adams, it was a bad thing. I kind of like the idea. All right, there's 6 guys, counting the tight ends. Who are you going to throw to? Who's he going to focus on? You don't know, which I think makes it difficult to defend. I got a tweet from somebody during the break. It's like, if you don't have a number one, you're too easy to, people can just play you straight up. Well, I totally disagree with that. You just don't know who the guy is going to be on any given day. I can't even keep up with the text today. I can't even. I want to read them, but who has time right now?
A 218 guy said that Cowboy game was all Aaron Jones, which I think is funny because I think Jordan Love had the highest QBR in Packer history.
It was the highest QBR in NFL playoff history, as I recall.
All Aaron Jones.
Well, now that he's a Viking.
Correct. Exactly.
How could we let him go?
Exactly.
I am on record. He's one of my all-time favorite Packers, Aaron Jones.
Yeah, he's the best.
I'm disappointed that he landed here. I'm happy for him because it's about as I thought Dallas for sure was going to take him. He's from Texas. He went to UTEP. They have a clear need. They still do. Who do they? They have Zeke. Zeke's back. But the fact that they didn't make a play for Aaron Jones stunned me. And I was, of course, a bit brokenhearted that Aaron Jones signed here, and he's already doing the Skol chants, and he's all in. I don't blame him at all for jumping at the chance to stay in the North. Green Bay, I'm not going to say they did him dirty. They didn't, in my mind. But to ask him to take about a 50% pay cut when he was clearly the motivating force behind that offense getting in gear in the last 5 weeks of the year when he came back from injury. And that, of course, is the problem with Aaron Jones is he just gets nicked up. He's 29, he'll be 30, but he never got that heavy workload. That was always the complaint, in Wisconsin. It was like, God, give Aaron Jones the ball. What are you doing? Well, I think too much work, he gets worn down. And so with Ty Chandler here, you've got at least a guy you can pair him with. You're not going to give Aaron Jones 20, 25 touches a day. But he still has plenty in the tank, and I'm a big fan. And always will be, even though he's wearing purple. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, the reaction when that Love deal gets done. Because, yes, I do think it's around 55, and I have no qualms. And I think there'll be a large portion of Packer fans that will hate that they gave him that kind of money.
You think?
But, yeah, I do. I
don't know.
I think there are fans that just say, how do you pay that top of the market money after one season as a starter? But you asked the guy to he's been in your building for 4 years, and you had no idea at this time last year what you were going to get from him. No clue. It could have been any of a million possible scenarios, and it was about the most positive one it could be. And from everything on the field and off the field, I think it's a slam dunk. His predecessor, Mr. Rodgers, as you may have heard, missed Jets minicamp this week. And what's fascinating to me was the fact that the Jets called it unexcused. Like, they could have dissolved the entire story because Saleh said, yep, Aaron gave us the heads up that this week wasn't going to work for him, so we knew it was coming. Well, if you knew it was coming, just call it excuse. You don't have to deal with the media and fan backlash. But no, they went with it's an unexcused absence. We expected him to be here. They could have moved once they knew. Do we know where he is? I don't think we found out yet. I haven't heard. It's he wanted to be away from football this week, is what Diana Rossini reported.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Because what did he say in the offseason? That if you're not all in, get lost. Like, this loser mentality has to end. That it has to be about football all the time. It's about winning, and we have to be together. And I forget what prompted that. If it was a holdout from someone else, there was some bit of controversy within the Jets that didn't really relate to football, and Rodgers went off on it. Like, enough of this foolishness. Like, you're in or you're not. You're either at 100% or you're not in. And yet, here he is. And look, is this going to matter as far as chemistry and playing catch with his receiver? Of course not. But it's optically, it goes against everything he's supposed to stand for now in his sunset years. And for those of us that followed him and cheered for him for a long time, it's kind of delicious that the Jets now are dealing with this situation. And I just can't wait to hear Rodgers talk about it when he comes back, like where he was, why it's no big deal, why, yeah, I mentioned that you're in or you're all in or you're not all in, but this doesn't count. This was something that was important to me, and the Jets knew about it. But he can't be happy that the Jets painted this as unexcused. Don't you agree?
From our perspective, the fact that our quarterback is going through contract negotiations and is still showing up to minicamp. Meanwhile, Aaron is. There are rumors, but none of it is substantiated. He's overseas on vacation. He's so and so, maybe a darkness retreat, and now we can say those jokes now because it doesn't have to do with our football club anymore. It's just a bad look, and I'm just so happy that we don't have to deal with it anymore. And the media circus, the constant will he, won't he, it's all that's done. And yeah, it's a relief. It's almost like it's reassuring that, we've made the right decision going the way we did if we didn't see it from the football field.
Yeah, so we'll see how that plays out when he comes back and how he paints it and the fallout. But, man, it's just fun in June to have an Aaron Rodgers story to play with. The Jefferson deal, again, equating it to the pending Love deal, JJ obviously has proven to be as good a receiver as there is in football. And he was going to get a contract that paid him as much as any non-quarterback, which is what he got, what he deserved. Good, yes, coming off an injury-riddled season. But it's interesting just the way the Vikes have built this team, that they've gone so skill position heavy, specifically receiving heavy, right, with Addison, Hockenson, and JJ, and the money they're committing without having the quarterback thing officially figured out. Now, they finally did draft their guy, and from everything we read, it finally became, I think, official nationally. Somebody broke the story or reported that Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback heading into training camp, which I think all of us that listen to the fan and follow the guys that follow the Vikings kind of understood that that's the plan. Darnold starts, and we'll see how long he plays until JJ gets in there. Is it a season? Is it half a season? Is it an injury? Is it November when perhaps things aren't looking good at some point? I want to dive into that a little bit later. The schedule may have something to say about that. But yes, the way the contracts are set up now, the way the financial system is set up in the NFL, if you can build around a rookie quarterback contract for 3 or 4 years, you have a chance to build like the Niners have done, build around a young quarterback with great players. And the Vikes are now trying that as well, that they've got a window now of 4 years where after this year, they're not paying a quarterback unless, what if Darnold lights it up? Paying him 10 this year. What if they can't take him out? What if maybe the wins aren't coming, but it's not the quarterback's fault that he's doing it? Look, that's far-fetched, although Double T believes that Sam just needed a good quarterback coach and he's going to unlock the talent simply because he was a top 5 pick at one time. But wouldn't it be interesting if Darnold just lights things up and JJ can't get on the field?
A lot of people on, I think, PA, I'm going to say think because I'm not 100%. I think PA said Darnold's starting the whole year.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he did. Okay. I didn't want to put words in his mouth.
No, that is
so there's a lot of
today.
people that feel like no matter what, Darnold's going to start all year long.
And I don't have any problem with that. There's just such pressure from everywhere to get your rookie quarterback on the field. The Vikes have every reason not to rush J.J. McCarthy. Every reason, starting with his age. He's 21. Secondly, we know the offensive system he played with Jim Harbaugh was handoff left, handoff right, and then find your receiver down the field. Throw it 15 times. He averaged like 15 or 20 throws a game, I think. So that's not to say he can't be a prolific, great NFL quarterback. That's not my point. My point is he's never been asked to do that, and it might take a little time for him to be ready to step on the field, and there's no harm in that. There's just such pressure. Did Mahomes sit out the whole first year, or did he come in? I want to say maybe he played the last couple weeks of his rookie year. But there's a guy they traded up for, just like the Vikes. Although it wasn't a big trade up, but it was a trade up. A lot of excitement about Patrick Mahomes. They had Alex Smith, who was, just a fine journeyman quarterback, nothing special. But they didn't feel the need, and they had the same kind of coach, and Andy Reid, a quarterback guru, which we're told KOC is. And I guess we'll find out this year and next year and these coming years with Darnold and McCarthy. But Reid didn't feel this overwhelming need to get his top 10 rookie on the field or whatever Mahomes was picked. What did he do?
So he did. He got drafted in the 2017 draft. He played one game that season, week 17, against the Broncos because they were resting Alex Smith that following off season, they traded Alex Smith, and Mahomes was the guy.
And that worked out pretty well.
It worked out. And by the way, we did this like a couple months ago. We were looking back when the draft coverage was really in full swing, when they traded up. And everyone on the broadcast goes, here we go, Deshaun Watson going to Kansas City. Obviously, that's who they're trading up to get. And then when they went with Mahomes, they're like, who is that? Yeah. Like, what are they talking about? What? He wasn't supposed to go there at all. And one player has many rings, and the other, well, it goes without saying.
That does go without saying. So I would applaud if the Vikings decide that giving J.J. McCarthy a redshirt year. I know we're happy for me, that I would applaud, but I just think it's kind of ballsy. It's kind of brave at this point, because there's going to be a lot of noise, especially if they're losing. And it's like, what's the point? You've got a young quarterback. See what he can do. I think it would take, a lot to keep him off the field for a year. And I think it might be the best thing for him. But it'll be really a fun storyline to watch. Like, what's the pressure like? Maybe from ownership. Who knows? Maybe from fans. Maybe from inside the locker room. That it's a whole new era now, right? Without a established, top half of the league type quarterback like Cousins was. It's going to be interesting. But yes, there is that window that if Darnold or McCarthy looks like the real deal and gets better and better, then the next few years, there's money to spend and you're not paying your quarterback. But again, you are paying your receiver $35 million and your tight end's making a ton. So between them, they're making quarterback money. So yes, the money has to go somewhere. For Green Bay, it's always been about defense, paying all these defensive guys. They've underperformed, and obviously the quarterback's been near the top as well. Now their skill position players make absolutely nothing, and the quarterback's going to get paid. So there are other ways to do it. A number of texts came in like, you sat your guy for 3 years, and you saw him for a year, and now you have to decide that quickly. Like, you only have 1 year of data to decide whether to pay a guy $50+ million. And you're right, that's not ideal. You'd love to have more experience and more games to look at. But I think it worked out for Love that by sitting for those 3 years, he was more than ready in a really tough spot, because that's the other thing people don't weigh into this equation. Young receivers, all that. But he was also replacing a legend with expectations and hope and all of that after waiting his time for all that long. And he lived up to all of that. So I think, that weighs into how this all plays out as well. But that deal likely gets done here in the next 30 days or so. We'll change topics. There's other teams in the NFC North. Have we caught up on what's happened with the Bears lately? Their guy, Caleb Williams, took the field the last couple weeks. Some good, some bad. We'll see what our favorite Bears fan has to say. We'll talk some Twins too. Lavelle E. Neal III joins us next on the Friday Football Feast on the Fan.
I'm watching you, Sinykin. Don't think that I'm not.